So you got the number. You mentioned that with the US you have to be quite spontaneous. So you don't want to think this is someone that's already my future wife. But in Germany it's different. But what does that translate to in how much you communicate with them? How quickly can you invite them on the first date? What would you generally do? And is it different between the two countries?
And yeah, it's a lot different. In the US, you have to be spontaneous and fast, like I said, right? So if you get a number now, I think the lady would somewhat be expecting an action in the next couple of hours, maybe
Oh,
24 to 48 hours, depending on the
okay.
time of the day. If it's
You said
like
couple
a
of hours.
during
I was thinking same day.
no, like 1 or 2 days. I just wanted to, yeah. In Germany, for example, at least there's still an action you have to take, right? You still have to sort of text back, oh, is this so guy that, we met so place. You don't have to really do anything urgently. You can. You can go the same route, like, oh, what are you doing Friday night? There's this restaurant that would like us to check out or whatever. You would have success in both countries, right? It's ideal. But one will sort of phase out and one can still be there. Like in Germany, if you don't, the pressure is not there to do something immediately. And when I say do
Ah,
something, it has to be something fun. It has to be something exciting.
so in Germany, it's fine if you're fast or slow. You get the number, you can chat a little bit, you can have the first date or the
Yeah,
first meeting again 2 weeks from now. Because where everyone is busy, you have to put it in the calendar. I mean, this is a common joke that you see
exactly.
everywhere. Like, oh,
Exactly.
don't, I'm busy. Next available date is the 24th of July. What are you doing then? And in the US, spontaneity is more the way to go. That if you don't reach out to do something in the next few days, it's probably cold. If you think, oh, we have 2, 3 weeks to go, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Now, what would be an ideal first date in Germany versus an ideal first date in the US, based on your experience?
Like I said, it has to be fun, it has to be spontaneous, and it will definitely cost you money. Your interest is directly proportional or attached to how much money you are willing to share on a lady. They sort of attach it to what you think they are worth. I'll give you an example. If after getting the number, I'm like, oh yeah, this is me. Are you free tomorrow? Can we go to Taco Bell or go to Starbucks for like coffee or something? You will most likely get rejected. You might not get a date. That's what I mean. Because it's cheap.
Wow. Wow.
It's where you get your fast food, you get in, you get out. But I can
Wow.
tell you in Germany, you can definitely take a girl to Starbucks. I mean, most Starbucks that I know is quite,
What are you
you
talking
know,
about? Starbucks? You can go for a walk around the corner.
you can go to the park, you can go to.
You can literally walk on the street. Yeah, you
I
can. You
took
can
a
be like,
lady.
"Would you like to take a walk on the street?"
Exactly. I took a lady out to the park one time. I was like super direct at the point, like, yo, on my first date, I don't take people out on dates anymore. If you really want to get to know me, I think that's what this is about, right? If I'm not mistaken, let's go to the park. It's close to my place. 5 minutes, 3 minutes drive or so. She accepted, right? She was like, oh, cool, yeah, let's do that. It was more so like a formality. When we got there, she was like, yeah, I didn't know it's like, yeah, this park thing. Like, I mean, I texted you the address.
Wait,
You
wait.
can Google, you can Google image this place, and you already have a sense of how it's a park. There are things you can buy, like people making barbecue and stuff, and they are rather cheap, right? Rather than go to like a fancy restaurant and spend a lot of money for
Was this in
something that
Germany or in the US?
in the US. So
Okay,
like I was
that's
I
interesting.
was able to, yeah. And I know why that kind of worked. She's African. So I think that her mindset is also different when it comes to that. She has this African background. We could relate on a different level if that makes sense. So like, yeah,
I see. That's interesting. So the expectation in the US for a first date, it has to cost money, and the more money you spend, the better your chance. Even when you invite them to cheap places, you have a higher probability of getting an outright no. Why did you decide that you're no longer interested in taking girls out? on expensive first dates?
It's not working. It has been compromised, if I may. It's like
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That sounds funny, but go on.
some people are really leveraging on that. Bro, I tell you for a fact, have met people who are just out there in the dating pool just to get cheap, like, I don't want to say cheap food, but like just to go out on dates and have men pay for their meals. I
So
mean,
they have lunch
it's
date and dinner date all set up so that
they
they
have
have
they
lunch
have
for
it
free and dinner for
lined up
free,
for days.
even
Yeah,
breakfast. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like,
So
and I mean, let's even forget that side, right? Let's go to the other side of it. Let's talk about what it means for me. If I'm averaging like $90 per dinner or per date, right?
is that enough money in the US? Is that okay? One hundred
On the,
dollar for a date in the US. What is that considered as? Is that considered a good date, an expensive date,
it
a
depends on the
normal date?
location.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on the part of the US. In some places, you would be fine. That would be sort of expensive. But in some other cities, like Miami, like if you go to like some other parts of the country, many places in California, like you can't get anywhere. So on the average, something that will cut across anywhere in the US that would still be like respectable from the lady's perspective would cost you around $120 and above, I would say. And you're just keeping it light. Yeah. So if you multiply that by like 9 or 10 in a month, that's a considerable
Why,
amount of.
why are you going on 10 dates in a month?
I mean, it depends on. I mean, we haven't talked about that other part where we talk about the online and the offline. So if you're meeting someone online, I think it's rather fast how things happen. It's also the culture here. It's you don't talk for that long compared to Germany, where you might not even meet until after 2 weeks or a week.
And all the gateways of decision that happens in that space. So you meet a girl, you chat, you invite on the first date, it's a yes. You go on the first date, it's a yes. If the first date doesn't work, she immediately tells you it's a no, and you can go on the next one. Or do you already line them up without knowing how they turn out, how they would turn out?
Oh, like having like 10 dates in a month? Is
Yeah,
that the
if you
question
do
now?
10 dates in a month, is that because you get like, all right, this is done, it's not working, and then you pick the next one, or they are all already lined up before knowing that one of them won't work, or the
I
other?
mean, usually you talk to multiple people, but as soon as I start talking to someone that is getting serious, I sort of just let others go, right? So, and with the whole being time conscious, you just sort of have to act. So, in like 3, 4 days, you already know where you're going. I think I would be able to get a date out or at least something out to know where this is going in 3 to 4 days. So,
Now that's very interesting. Do you know why I find that
why
interesting?
is it?
I've
Yeah.
always had I've always had the assumption that one of the fundamental problems, and we're going to get into that as well, based on your experience, like which one is better between online dating and meeting people face to face, and what you think the reason for one being better than the other is. But my assumption has always been that the fundamental issue with online dating is the fact that everyone is dealing with multiple people at once. You don't really get to know each other enough to be able to align in such a way that it's not absolute. Because every relationship that you build, it's like, well, that person, they talk that way, but it's fine. I know them. They're a real person to me. But you meet someone online, it's moving so fast. Within 3 days, a decision has to be arrived at because you have to decide on the other ones that are lined up, or that are at least that they are potentials. My assumption is that it's a fundamental issue, all that access to options. Now, I'm going straight to, where do you get sex on the first date the easiest? US or Germany?
100% US, bro. Like it's crazy how much access you will have, not that you can have, if you have resources. And when I say resources, I mean financial resources. Bro, I have this sort of guarantee of what you have to do if you want to get laid. It will just cost you money. Whereas in Europe, you only need money. I think if I can meet someone now, text her like an hour after meeting her physically or something like, oh, I'm planning to do so. That same evening, you guys can go out and you can smash.
I always had the impression that Europeans are also quite open to sex on the first date or not. I personally also don't have any judgment around this. I guess you as well. But what you're saying is that when it has to do with how much money you have, it's just easier. So, for example, you pull up in a G wagon or you pull up in a Toyota. For in Europe, maybe that doesn't make a difference as that much difference. At least in Germany, but it makes all the difference in the US. Have you ever had an experience where you went with a very nice car? Because there's so many videos on YouTube of all this gold digger prank. I think they're all staged.
They
I
are
honestly
not,
think they're all staged,
bro.
but I want
They
to
are
get your
not.
wait, really.
They are
No,
not. Like, and that's also one point that I feel like maybe I miscommunicated. The sad part is not also just the fact that you need to show that financial capability. You can actually really fake it. And that's quite sad. So you might be broke as fuck, right? But if you save up money to get a really fancy car, you'll get laid a lot in the US.
wow,
Like, I don't care any part of the country. It's a metric that a lot of ladies here will judge you by. Like, they will compliment you in a way that after a week of getting a fancy car, like, yo, this shit works. It's like, oh, nice car.
wow.
Like, I love it. Like, you don't get that in Germany, like, as such. Like,
Absolutely not. You don't even have an opportunity to park your car where it's visible. If you're not,
exactly.
yeah, you don't have the opportunity to do that. Well, but that's very interesting. I mean, I absolutely understand that having a very expensive vehicle, it's not unfair to assume that that person is comfortable. And if you think about German culture as well, people just don't splash money on things if they truly can't afford it. So it tells you a lot about the person. But if you have a nice car and you show off with the nice car, for majority of European girls, it might even be at your disadvantage. I would give an example. I have a friend. He's a black guy and he likes to party really, get bottles and pop champagne club and all that stuff. So he had this crazy experience where when he goes to the club and they bring his bottles of champagne and they do all this drama round one, round two, it turns out that a lot of girls start becoming too shy or they do not want to join his table anymore because there was so much show in all the drinks that he has bought. But the days that it tells them don't put the light, just bring the drinks. Let's just have something to drink on the table. And we don't need more than we can drink. Those are the days that girls even come to his table and be like, oh, sorry, can I join your table? Can I get a drink from you? And it makes it much easier. But I guess in the US, the louder the better, right?
The louder, the fancier, the better, regardless if you're faking it or not. That's this. Yeah,
Wow.
that's the
Now
situation.
that's
Yeah.
that's interesting.